I read 24 books in the month of August. I had a great reading month, so I want to do a monthly wrap up. I'll try to go quick because it's a lot to cover, but we'll start with The Ark. I read Sisters in the Wind by Angeline Bowley. This is a YA mystery, and it was very good. It releases tomorrow, September 2nd. I have another video where I go more in depth of it, but the video is not posted yet. I'm putting it together, but you will see my full in-depth review, but it releases tomorrow. I'll just say that Lucy did something in her past, and her past caught up to her. And so we're figuring out exactly what happened, but it was so much more. It was very good, very good. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and I saw that some people loved it, some people didn't like it. I am one who loved it. I actually gave this 5 stars. I realized that there's something about people having to make a choice or making a choice, and then we're seeing the consequences play out, and whether they regret it or not, that itches a part in my brain just ever so right that I absolutely love it. I ate this book up. The whole premise is that she is in the in-between, neither life nor death, and she's seeing a book of regrets, and she's getting to change one thing that she regret, and she's like living that life. Anytime she's disappointed with that life, she comes back to the Midnight Library, and I don't know why, but I enjoyed it so much. She liked philosophy, so it talked a lot about philosophers. It also, like, I thought it was funny because she worked as a piano teacher in her normal life, and she works at string theory, which string theory is so heavily based on physics. And so I love that. I mean, it's a sci-fi, but I feel like it was very rooted in science, and that's why I loved it. I don't know, it was just so good. I like the idea, like he referenced Schrodinger's cat, where it is, but it isn't. The cat is neither dead nor alive. I don't know, it was so good. I really loved it. And I can see how people wouldn't like it, because to me, it's more than a story. It's so heavily based on like alternate reality in a way, or like choosing different paths in the multiverse. I don't know, I'm like spiraling, I'm sorry. But it was so good, and I knew what she would choose in the end, but it was, I ate it up. I gave it 5 stars, as I said. I don't know, if you don't like it, that's okay, but I really enjoyed it so much. I just nerded out there for a little bit, I'm sorry. I also read The Break-In by Catherine Faulkner. This was also an arc. It released August 26th, and I really enjoyed this. Like, immediately I was enthralled in the story. Her writing was great. There were some parts in the middle that felt drawn out, but overall, I enjoyed this so much. So it follows a woman who kills a young boy who breaks into her house, and then we're seeing the aftermath of that, and it was so much more that she uncovered as to why it happened. And and there were a part that I knew what happened. I knew what was gonna happen, and so I was like, meh, but it was a small part. There were lots of twists that I didn't see, and I guess they weren't like major twists, but obviously I didn't see the whole book play out. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I have a tendency to talk really fast, so if I'm ever talking slow in a video, just know it's intentional. The Ballerinas by Rachel Kapelke Dale. So this one is a literary fiction, and we follow a ballerina who is grown and doing choreography, but it's about friendship and just life and getting older and not necessarily knowing what to do. I thought the aspect of the way that she explored friendship was nice, because your friends aren't always the ideal friends, right? Or the ideal people, but they could still be the ideal friend for you. But overall, the book just kind of like felt flat for me. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It was just okay. Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen. I loved it. I already talked about it in another video, so I won't go too much into it, but I loved it. Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. I also talked about this in one of my reading vlogs, so I won't go into it again, but I liked it, but didn't really like it. Exodus by Kate Stewart. I don't remember if I talked about this. I don't think I did. And so I actually like this one a lot more than Flock. I did talk about Flock and how I felt like Sam was a little bit abusive, just a little bit. But this one, we got to know everyone's story. And I absolutely love that so much more than what the story was in Flock. I won't say what it's about because it follows directly behind Flock. But when I tell you one of the characters in here, I was yelling. I was yelling at the character, like, you can't be this stupid. You can't be this stupid. Like, people will show you who they are. And she was telling him who she was and what she didn't want, and he wasn't listening. And I was like, bro, grow a pair. I don't know. Like, it was just, anywho. I enjoyed this one a lot more. I can't go into it because, again, follows directly behind Flock. Truly, Madly, Deeply by LJ Shen. This one I already talked about as well in my reading vlog, but I really enjoyed this one. This one I would say is a little bit of a slow burn, but it's so good. I love a slow burn, so it's going to do it every time. Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. I already talked about this one as well in another one of my videos, so I won't go into it, but I did enjoy it if you haven't seen that. Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I also talked about this one as well in another one of my videos, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I really did. I can't wait till get into the second one. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I read that one because Ange actually read that one, and at first I told her, I was like, girl, this is moving slow. What is happening? And then so she was like, no, it's a very slow start. And then she was right. It was a slow start, but once it got there, it got there. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I'm realizing vampires aren't my thing. I can't think of a thing that talks about vampires that I love, to be honest. So they're not my thing, but the book itself was written well, and it was entertaining, and I had fun, and there was comedy in it, even though it's a horror, and I think that's what Angie likes about it, and I enjoyed that element as well. So I enjoyed it. I read Holly by Stephen King, and I really love that one. Oh man, I love that one. There's cannibalism in there, so be wary. That's not for everyone. But what I really liked about it was that it took place, like, I think a little bit after COVID. And Stephen King did not shy away from talking about the fact that he referenced the fact that at least Trump is not in office. Look at where we are now. It did not age well. It did not age well. But so he talked about that. He talked about being vaccinated and not vaccinated. I mean, there was politics thrown into the book, and I really liked that. There were characters that were Black who were afraid of cops. Like, that was in there, but it was a thriller / horror, and the actual elements of that was phenomenal. It kept me engaged, but again, there was so much more and so much politics thrown into there that I absolutely loved that book. I like that I saw Stephen King's views in the book. And in his author note, he did let us know that he agreed with the FMC. And so I loved it. I also read Juneteenth by Tony LaRue, and I also talked about this in another one of my videos, but I did love that one. I enjoyed that one. I also read Rootless by Crystal Zara Appiah, and that one I liked. I actually talked about that one in another video, I think in the same video that I talked about Juneteenth, so I won't go into depth about it, but in there I did not know how to say Ghanaian. I still can't. I thought I had it and I still can't say Ghanaian. I think it's Ghanaian. There it is. I was putting so much emphasis on the E-N. It's a damn shame how much I thought about the fact that I could not say that word. I went to sleep thinking about the fact that I did not say that correctly, and I think I know how to say it now. I think it's Ghanaian. That's it. Too much. Finding Me by Viola Davis, and that one I loved. I already talked about this one in another one of my videos, so I won't go into depth again, but my only 6-star read of this month. I loved it. I read Isha Unscripted by Sashni Patel, and that one I liked. I did not love. I didn't love it. It's a contemporary fiction, but there was an element of romance that was explored but not finished. So Isha wants to work in the film industry and she wants to write movies or screenplay, and she's having a hard time. She's living with her parents right now while she figures life out. And I will say, I felt like as much as she was figuring life out, it felt unfinished. The ending did not feel flushed out to me. And throughout the entire of the book, it felt like she was drunk for more than 50% of the book. So I was like, I can't even take you seriously, and you want your parents to take you seriously. Like, just because you're an adult by age, there's nothing to show for it. Like, I don't know, girl, I was trying to be on her side, but yeah, the whole book felt like she had an idea, but it wasn't executed all the way. And that sounds so mean. I really tried not to be mean when in terms of like authors, because I couldn't write. I know I couldn't. That's not my ministry. But I will say, like, it just felt like it wasn't executed all the way. I also read That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. That one I have a video. Damn, I was telling y'all what I was reading as I was reading it. Good for me. But I have a video of that one as well, so I won't go too into it, but I did like it. I loved it, actually. I read Gray After Dark by Noelle Eiley, and I love that one. At first, when I first started reading it, I was like, this book feels mid. Like, it feels okay. Like, I'm not disinterested. I'm interested. It just doesn't feel groundbreaking, and everybody talks about how they love that book. So I was like, you know. But then, like, I don't know, at some point in the book, it picked up, and I was hooked. And I mentioned that to Ange, and she said she read Ask for Andrea by the same author, and she said she felt like that was the same way. Like, at first, if she was like, oh, this is mid, but then it picked up, and I was like, I guess that's how she writes, and that's okay. I guess I was expecting groundbreaking in the beginning, but in the end, overall, like, it was a very good thriller. I enjoyed it so much. I really did, once it picked up. I read Dear Vicky by Octavia Grant, and I believe I talked about that one as well, so I won't go too into it, but I still think about that man, Andrew, I think his name was. I still think about him, and I'm like, that man was so delusional. Like, I almost want to live in a world where, and I think that's part of what he had, something pertaining to delusions, but I almost want to live in a world where I'm that delusional, because I'm like, then I could do whatever I want. You know what I mean? I could be anything I want. You can't tell me different, because I believe I can, therefore I can. Hey. I read The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, and I did not care for that one. I briefly mentioned about putting a plus size player in a book is to be intentional when I talked about Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen, and that one, the FMC was plus size, but she was insecure, and insecurities I could deal with. But the book ended with her never feeling better about herself. And I'm like, eh. And then on top of that, not only was she just like, oh, maybe I look this way, maybe I look that. No, it was like she was talking very badly about herself. And I think we need to talk about ourselves as we would talk about our friends. We're not going to talk about our friends negatively. So why would we talk about ourselves like that? It was more than that. It was not only was she like downing on herself, she put this man on a pedestal. Like, he was the hottest guy she's ever seen. He had the best body. He had the smartest brain. He had and even with her accomplishments, like, she was a lawyer, she still didn't even like feel that she was enough. I don't know, it just drove me insane. Like, insane. Not to mention the entirety of the book, there was no romance. It was just smut. Every time they met, it was physical. They ate some food at some place and they got physical. That was it. They never got to know each other. I was like, I need more. I need tension. And I know we can read between the lines, but there was not enough for us to read between the lines. It was my first Jasmine Guillory book. And hear me out. It won't be my last because I do have a book of hers on my physical TBR and I hear good things about her as an author. But this one was a miss for me. It was a miss for me. And I don't know, like it didn't sit right with my soul that she was so down on herself, but then had him up on a pedestal. Like, nah. The House of Eve by Sadika Johnson. I have a video of me talking about that one as well, and so I won't go into it, but I enjoyed it. I really loved it. That was a phenomenal historical fiction. I absolutely loved it. I also read Losing Sight by Tati Richardson. And at first I was like, why does this girl believe that like glasses is for old people? I'm like, there are literal babies in the world wearing glasses. You know, the little ones with the band, like babies wear glasses. So why does she feel like if she gets glasses, that means she's becoming old? I didn't understand that. I thought that felt a little silly. But then after I was like, it's a rom-com. It's a rom-com. It's supposed to be silly, but overall I enjoyed it. I actually really liked that they were much older. I loved that aspect. I think she was like in her 40s and he was in his 50s, I believe. So I loved it. Everybody deserves to find love at some point, right? Yeah, I enjoyed the silliness. Like it wasn't deep. It was just a good time. There was fun. But I also like the elements of her glasses, like making her see things a certain way. I don't know. I had a good time. I read The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. And at first that one also felt a little silly because like it starts with their stairs is missing. And I was like, what? But then I remembered like they could be living in like New York or somewhere upstate, like where things like that happen, like, you know, like outdoor stairs and things like that. I was like, girl. So I was like, okay, that actually could happen. It wouldn't happen here, but it could happen. And so valid. It was a short read. I think it was like 60 something pages, maybe 80 something pages. Cute short novella. It was fine. You know, we didn't get to see much romance, but I expect that in a novella. I liked it, wasn't crazy about it, knowing that I love Abby Jimenez. It wasn't the best, but obviously, again, with 80 pages, what can you do? I thought it was fine. It was a cute little rom-com. Enjoyed it. And lastly, I read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and I actually read that one because Ange read it and loved it and talked about it, and she's gonna read it again. So I was like, there is no way I'm gonna let Ange do a reread before I do the first read. So I read it and I enjoyed it. At first, it took me a little bit to get into, and I had to go back a couple of times and like reread. But I overall like thought it was good. I can tell Leigh Bardugo is a great writer, like, and I can't imagine like dealing with like a little society. I can't think of what I'm trying to say, but also having to deal with like the undead or the dead, the dead zombies. They're not zombies, they're called greys, but they're dead. So, but I feel like once you're dead and you can see the dead and they're walking around, they're almost undead, right? But anywho, there was so many elements to the book that I was like, ooh, like that. Some points had me laughing, some points had me being like, oh shoot. But the way it ended had me wanting to jump into the next book. I overall enjoyed it. As someone who doesn't read very much fantasy, I liked it, and I really liked the dark academia feel of it. Enjoyed it. But yeah, those are all the books I read in the month of August. I had a great time reading. I mean, whoo, I really did. Most of my books, well, I won't say most, all of the books I've read, whether I said I've liked it, loved it, or whatever, I've rated either 3 or above. So I did have a phenomenal reading month. I enjoyed this month so much. I'm taking in the fact that I'm not working with stride and rolling with it, because I typically read like 12 to 14 books in a month. while I'm working. But since I haven't been working, I was having a great time. Anywho, like, phenomenal. I had a great month. So what was your favorite read of this month? If you've read any of the books I've read, let me know how you feel about them. Again, if there's any books you want me to read, let me know. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Happy reading. Bye!